Hello everyone. This is going to be my review per se of Forspoken. There's still a bit more that I'm going to actually be finishing out in the demo in the days to come, but I won't be posting videos across the next week really. This will be going up probably as a premiere or a release sometimes within the next 2 to 3 days. However, I won't be on playing at least until the 23rd or the 24th because I'll be kind of on travel. But let's go ahead and first, before we even get started with the demo and opening it up and then going in and really talking about what's going on, I just want to show my settings currently. So here I have aim assist off. If it looks like I can't shoot sometimes with the scatter shot, that's exactly why. I'm using no aim assist whatsoever. And because it acts as almost kind of like a machine gun, it can be a little hard to aim at points. But anyway, so that's one of the settings I have here. Most of the others I have are on default. Um, if you're playing the demo and you're thinking it's too easy, then you probably have stamina recovery set way up or something like that. So yeah, just check your default settings, figure out what you want in terms of difficulty, and then move it accordingly. Um, then you also have like your controls and stuff here. I really haven't messed with this too much, but if you can, if you want to, you can speed up the camera controls, things like that. Display settings, I run on performance focused. I am sorry if the quality does not look as good as like if I was probably running it on 4K. I cannot stand 30 FPS. Can't do it. Try it, doesn't work. So I don't play on 30 FPS. Um, Anyway, moving on. So sound settings, and then this is what I have in for accessibility settings. I think as I said in my previous video, I changed the magic parkour sprinting to toggle so that makes it simpler. It does not show game mode balance on this screen because we're not in the demo yet, but we're about to go ahead and enter it now. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to press continue. Uh,
What's on the...
We're going to stop her from talking for a second. See, here we go. Difficulty setting is set to hard. Again, you'll have a few more options in here if you really want to mess with those, but for the most part, it's the same things we saw on the outside.
agenda today?
A little light monster pummeling, perhaps?
Okay, so quick recaps of different things. That's our rest location here. This is where we can get some spell increases in terms of power and stuff. Really, and this is coming into the review because I don't think I mentioned it in the initial first impressions. I would definitely suggest doing these different spell options and stuff to level up
Let's
the
see.
abilities.
Any
I
interesting
highly
books?
recommend it if you want to understand and be able to really see what the fighting system has to offer. I'm still working on some. As you can see, all of the ones that are glowing and have the extra yellow tint here are the ones that I've completed. So I've been putting in some serious work on completing her abilities. But that said, there are a few that I have not maxed out yet. Okay, now you go ahead and go over here. Some of the abilities that she has, once you get those fully
What was I
maxed
gonna
out,
make again?
can change her crafting situation. You can do a lot in terms of like creating higher level, garlands, things like that. I guess it's almost like a flower of metal type of thing that you can use to craft and create other sections or upgrades for your necklaces and cloaks. But anyway, more of that later, I guess, once we get the full game. But yeah, all of this I've already discussed in my previous demo. Okay, so this should be recording on 4K right now. So this is how the quality
All
will be
right, let's
posted.
move.
It is performance
Yes, we've a
focused,
long way to
so
go
it is
yet.
what it is. It's not going to look
Ugh,
exactly the
mood
same as
killer.
if it was on the highest fidelity setting, but I'm sure it's still very much so enjoyable. Now, this is literally going live. I'm not talking about this as an overview or overlaying my voice onto it. We will literally be playing and reviewing the game. So let's go through pros first. The pros that I have with this game are that the mobility controls and stuff like that are really, really cool. I'm sorry, but it's undeniable. There's a lot that you can do with the game.
Look out!
If you don't feel that there's enough that you can do with it, you just aren't playing it well. And that's just keeping it 100. Now, that said, are there some improvements that could be made? Certainly. Camera control could be improved quite a bit in certain areas because it is difficult sometimes to keep track of the enemies. That's 100% the case.
Damn right
Also,
you are.
ability switching can be kind of slow. It you can master it to the point where it's fast, but keeping it 100, doing the wheel and stuff like that can take some adjustments. That's just the truth.
Yep.
You also have to be able to very quickly get used to moving and using the D-pad to pick the abilities that you want to put down. If you don't get used to the D-pad switching, it will take too long normally to use your specific abilities. Also, switchover commands like those, you have to get used to being able to use them. Otherwise, you will not see the true power that this game can give you. To address something else that I've been seeing, I've seen a lot of comments lately talking about how the kind of like the measuring system or the award system, in a sense the rating for your gameplay, affects your ability to play the game in a kind of like freestyle method. I do not believe that to be true. Now again, this is obviously my opinion. I'm sure someone else may feel differently. But the reality is that when you are fighting as her in the game, if you are mixing up your spell combinations, you are doing the absolute most to mix and match to show off, I can promise you.
What do you think?
Again, I can promise you
Good. You're well
that
enough to be unpleasant, at
you
least.
will not wind up in a situation where you won't earn a high score. Because I mean, again, you're literally mixing and matching. That's what the game wants you to do. So yeah, that complaint about the idea of you not being able to have ingenuity, fun, and just really mess around with gameplay, I'm sorry, I don't agree.
I'd imagine you'll have this wrapped up pretty quickly.
I can switch from here with scatter shot.
No sweat.
Switch back over to burst shot. This is our guy right here. Create a huge burst like that, blow him to smithereens. Oh, looks like that didn't kill him. There he is. Now he's dead. If I want to create a situation where certain enemies are taking damage from other methods while also immobilizing that enemy, you can do that. If I want to set up a trap right here and get the guy to basically blow himself up by coming after me, I can do that. These are all different abilities that you have at your disposal. You can mix and match them as you so choose. If you want to use abilities that are not rated for a specific thing, like for example, some of these enemies are not weak to grass, you can still make some really cool things out of this. So run in here, let's say we're in the center of this, immediately hit them with tendril to knock some guys off of you. Set up the burst shot to blow back an enemy that's coming at you really fast. We can then mix it up a bit. I can use implant on an enemy so that starts taking some damage from it. Let's say I'm running out of abilities here because I am on this section, so I'll switch over to scatter shot. Drop a little bit of damage down here just to get things loaded up. And again, you do have to keep an eye on what's happening on the field. In my personal opinion, it's not that the camera's super hard to see, you're just not using it right. Set yourself up. This attack goes forward, so you gotta make sure that you actually are directing it forward. And yes, enemies can hit you while you're using your super, so you have to remember that. To be honest, it's only fair. You can set up, capitalize on your fire abilities, pull up a crucible so that you can actually be able to kind of put up a wall, but you do need to set your settings properly. Then you can start to use blast spear and stuff like that at a distance. The crucible's really better for bringing enemies into your area and then delivering maximum damage. But again, you just gotta set it up right. And of course, keep an eye out for other enemy techniques. Fire trap. You can literally raise something like that to be able to hit enemies that aren't paying attention. You can hit them with that crucible or shield ability, which is I think the charge one. You have bombardier. So if I want to, I switch to another enemy, Then I go ahead, kick him, turn him into an exploding bomb. He can do damage to other enemies. Fusillade allows you to be able to bring up swords so that way when you're actually in the charging process, other swords and abilities like other blades are damaging people that you're fighting.
Why not leave me alone?
Also, you have high value abilities or high damage surge magic that you can use as well. So I mean, it's all about figuring out the best way to really combo and maximize on your ability to do damage to enemies. We'll kill him. Then we got this dude, right? Every ability also has a jumping attack, so make sure that you utilize that too. If we're talking about Arc Slice, you can literally jump and then hit an enemy with that as well. And apparently that can actually stop an enemy's attack too, which is pretty cool. I did not know that. That's Rage Slice, so that's your hand-to-hand combat techniques. And you can also sit there and move backwards or backstep, sidestep attacks as well with that. But yeah, so that was just a quick demo of like some of the different fighting movements you can do and really just integrating them. We moved through quite a few of her arsenal abilities.
It's not much, but you never know.
Now, let's talk traversal. Right now, I'm just kind of going over each specific point, and then you're going to get my full opinion on the game after this. So let's just talk traversal. Traversal's not that difficult. You just need to make sure that you're not trying to go up a flat face. So for example, you can chain her jump abilities like this, but she can only do 2 back-to-back. Why is that important? That means that you have to pick walls that are not a flat face. She has to have another place to be able to stand. And of course you can use the stones to be able to boost you further if that's a concern as well. So, cool example of just traversing up the wall right there. Really simple, really straightforward. In terms of her running, jumping, shimmying is important. Being able to sit there and utilize this ability and chain this into her runs and blast techniques are useful. That said, one of my review issues with the blast technique, this one right here, it really doesn't add much speed. That may be fixed when we get to the full game, but as of right now, it's underwhelming. Why is it underwhelming? Because it is faster for me to shimmy like this. Just being honest, this is a lot faster, and it restores stamina just like the blast does. What would be really cool is if this blast somehow made me either A, invulnerable to damage or something like that, or it somehow added some type of like fire modifier, but it doesn't. So that's one issue that I see.
What's gotten into you?
Oh, nothing. Just
Now,
humming a happy tune.
let's go ahead and switch over to the grass techniques for a second because I want to show something with Scattershot. Oh, by the way, I'm going to pick up these healing items because, well, that's just me. So, Scattershot.
Don't worry, this will be quick.
This is actually a really cool ability that you get later, which is where you can pierce enemies. Again, this is going to be part of leveling out the abilities and powering them up through mana increase and stuff like that. Also, to make this game easier for anyone who's a beginner or starting out on it, the idea is positioning is important. Use your abilities to maximize your position.
Gotcha.
The advantage is ours.
It's quite useful if you set it up right.
Gotta keep moving. Time is money.
Yes.
And when
money
done
is,
properly, it's very easy to wipe out
completely
enemies
useless in
extremely quickly. So, from the combat perspective, what is my opinion on the combat? Overall, the combat is pretty varied, it's quite deep, and you can do quite a bit with it. That said, you just have to get used to being able to move through her abilities within a relatively short period of time. That is going to take a lot of just experimenting with the wheels and becoming more comfortable with switching. I do admit that I do believe the switching process could be easier. Maybe if there were less spells, it would be a lot simpler to really work through her abilities. But it's one of those things where, as they say, there's always a trade-off, right? In exchange for the variety of spells that we have and their general usability, it comes with the trade-off, which is that it's a little bit more difficult to wheel your way through the resources that she has. and that's just it is what it is, I think. We'll have to see if that can be improved a little bit more in future releases or updates that they make to the game, or if that's just one of those things we'll have to get comfortable with as we go as players. Let's see. So from there, let's go ahead, I guess, and get into more the concept of the game's design, visuals overall. For me, the visuals are not bad. I'm sure that for some people they're saying, oh, these visuals aren't as good as they should be for PS5. But what I would say with that is that, to be quite honest, a lot of the visuals probably went into the glittery features and random flow and ether look that all of the characters have, just being real. In terms of how the grass works and stuff like that, they do actually have some really cool effects happening here. It's on a very small scale, of course, but these effects are pretty nice to see. And the game does not look bad, in my opinion, at any of the visual levels that I've seen. Is it to the same level for most people as like a Ghost of Tsushima type of look? Probably not. And that's simply because this is a completely different game with a completely different design motif. And so you have to go into it understanding that. Is this a game for everyone? No. But for people who like Square Enix games, Final Fantasy type stuff, especially like a Final Fantasy 15-esque type of thing, yes, this game will probably be a very nice touch for you. You will enjoy it. Or at least that's from what I'm getting from this demo, you will enjoy it. So here we're demoing a little bit more combat there. Okay, I did actually kill that guy. I was wondering for a second if I did. Now, camera. You lost track of the enemies, right? You can just use cuff to be able to scan to get back on track and know where they are. Kill him really quickly. We got one up here. Let's see what we want to use on him. We can use Tendril to knock him down. And then after that, we'll just drop this. Oh, okay. He's not actually coming near. So this is really useful if an enemy decides to come at you. But as we can see, this dude is actually standing back. So we'll just go ahead and blow that up. And then there's one more over here. Okay, he's still alive. So we'll actually use shield shot. And yep, there we go.
Hey, I'm always tired.
All's well then. Wonderful.
So I do want to show elevated combat on a much stronger enemy. So we're actually going to go ahead and this is pretty much the final part of the demo. This will end the demo. However, I'm going to save right before we get there, just so that I can continue, of course, to play.
Fast.
And then once this is done, we'll stop for a second and then kind of just I'll give my full final opinion on everything. So let's save here. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to fight a mutant. This is going to be a much more difficult fight. Let's see. I'll probably run with Fusillade and Blast Slice from the beginning. You'll see why very quickly once I start this fight. This dude is big, he's fast, and he can do a huge amount of damage. And the second that he's mad, he will immediately start to come after us.
No shit.
So we're using everything that we can to improve our ability to damage him quickly. We want him to try and come after us, but we don't want to stand anywhere long enough to get hit by the majority of his attacks. See? I mean, again, he's big. I don't even know if Bind works on him. I haven't tried it yet.
Nope, not working.
Yeah, he's immune to Bind. So, good to know. Wouldn't even do anything if we tried. So that did a little bit of damage. He's actually more resistant to things like that though, because this is the type of enemy where, to be honest, and that's a cool way to dodge too, if you notice, doing the jump smash instead of taking the attack head on.
That's it.
He's gonna try and bite me. So we're still waiting for Fusillade to level up.
Okay.
So what we'll do is we'll erect a Crucible, and then we'll fight him from within here. As you can see, the Crucible is continuously doing damage to him. So just by keeping him in that circle, we're actually damaging him this entire time. And I could actually risk attacking him, but because of the Crucible and because of his size, I'm not going to, due to the fact that I wouldn't be able to see well. I'm going to try and see if I have time to charge to a blast level 3, like that, just to put some bit more damage down. Let's get moving. Always keep an eye on your stamina, because of the fact that, of course, that could harm you. Really, at this point, I'll go ahead and close the distance a bit. There we go. Did a little bit of damage there. Again, we're not trying to do all the damage in the world at once, because we don't need to. Let's get out of here. Alright. Want to get out of there again. Alright. There we go. And again, we're not trying to take him all in one go. We're trying to whittle him down.
First moments of any battle are crucial.
You're telling me that now?
Because with an enemy this big, there is no reward for getting killed by him. None whatsoever. Alright. Use Bombardier. That did some damage. Now, we're going to set him up for this one. We got to get him to stand in one place.
Now or never.
See, that knocked him over. And then we can go in for a critical. Oh, man, he responded quickly. So, no critical right now. We'll keep whittling him down. It's okay. Let's go ahead and switch to a charge. We can get in really quickly, do a bit of damage like that. Now, I actually want to show a few of the other abilities here. We'll set up a plant to be able to, even though he's resistant, we could put down a little bit of damage there. And let's track him over this way so that he hits that mine.
Okay.
Then we hit him with a tendril. Ooh, get out of there real quick. So see, now, as you can see, I've run out of stamina. So I have to wait for that stamina to refill. That's why it's always important to try and do shimmies and things like that to be able to keep your stamina up. Alright. Let's try something else. We know bind will not work, so there's no point. Oh, I'm actually just going to use some of her basic grass abilities.
That's not doing much.
So as we can see, she just acknowledged it's not doing a lot of damage to her. Now, one way that you can get around that though with resistant enemies is by using a high level burst shot. As you can see, that can still do a lot of damage, even with high levels of resistance. But let's go ahead and switch back to fire now. Alright, we'll go back and equip Fusillade so that we get the charging ability. And we'll go ahead and start putting down some serious damage there.
This is getting old.
Oh yeah, you're telling me. So just staying out of the way and then tricking him to be able to waste his time is the important part here. Yep. And again, always making sure that we keep stamina up.
Well, do something.
Alright. We're gonna try and get him to attack us. There we go. And then that keeps him directly in the center of that attack path. gonna get out of there. Create distance. Ooh, okay. Let's not run out of stamina. We're gonna use Fire Trap 2. See, that created some extra damage. And now I think we can go ahead and play with him a bit, because we're almost done here. And there we go. So as an example of how to beat a high level enemy, we didn't take any damage the entire time. Totally good to go. And there you go. We get the ending with the screen with the thank you for playing. That's the last objective that you'd have to do. So uh, we're going to go ahead and just talk about it as they're showing us these scenes. I'm looking forward to the game. I think there's going to be some big things from a story perspective. Um, to be quite honest, I don't see why you wouldn't want to at least see how this game is going to play. Now, it may make more sense for you as a gamer to wait until it gets to the point where this one comes off of pre-order and a few months after to be able to really see what the reviews are going to look like. But for anyone who is interested in a really deep story, really good action levels, high fantasy, I think this is going to be really good. Not to mention it's having the isekai element that's coming in from some of the different anime and stuff like that type of feel. So I do believe that it's going to be a really, really good game. The combat to me is really deep. There's a lot to be able to really pull out when you're talking about how to play this game. There's so much to experiment with. Her abilities have the ability to level up, and the settings that they have in this game in terms of being able to just min and max things, some of the best settings I've ever seen. You can affect how her health responds, enemy health responds, stamina responds, speed, controls, all of it is very easy for you to work with. If you feel that dead zones and stuff like that are a problem with your controller, there's settings for that. You can mess with all of those sensitivities. So I am really, really looking forward to what they have and what we're going to see in January. I personally am going to pre-order, but you do what works for you. But with that said, this pretty much is completes my review of the game. I like where they're going with it. I'm definitely going to get it, but it's up to everyone to figure out what they want to do. But I would highly recommend looking into it if you're a combat fanatic, because I think that there's going to be a lot to do with this. And it does feel like it's going to have not Dark Souls level difficulty, but depending on how you min max the settings, you can probably get some Nioh 2 level feel in terms of just how difficult some of the enemies will be. But then you'll have the evasiveness, the movement mechanics, and kind of that feel of a game that's closer to like a Final Fantasy or Kingdom Hearts. So anyway, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. And yep, see you in the next video. Peace.
プレイステーション